Okay, I've got my lift charge in there. Now I just fold down. I've got 4 turns of paper on here. I fold down a few turns of the paper like this, just to cover over the lift. Like so. Now at this point there's a few different ways you can finish this off. If I've got plenty of time, what I do now is I paste this last couple of turns in, I tear back strips and I fold the pasted paper down as I do when I'm pasting a shell, and it gives a nice rounded bottom on it. But as I say, I'm pushed for time and I just haven't got the time to be really finishing things off that well now, so I just gather up the paper here, bring it in nice and tight. Using a piece of tarred twine, I use 1.5mm twine for this. Slip it over the top there. And draw it nice and tight, take it on the back, and knot it off again. I'll take a razor blade and I just chop off the excess paper here. And then just to make sure that nothing can get out of here through the, I mean it's pretty tight, but I just put a bit of glue, a bit of Elmer's glue on the end like that. Okay, so now I've got this paper pouch. When the pasted bit's dry, it'll be nice and tight around there. The bottom's tied off. There's a little bit of Elmer's in there. It's used tarred twine. I'll just sit that on there a moment. Okay, now the top here. What I need is a bucket. It's called a bucket, and that's just a few turns of paper which you're going to drop down over the spolet. And I use 70-pound paper. I put 4 turns, and I don't know what size this dowel is, but it's just a tad bigger than the width of the black match that's sticking out on either side of the spolet here. You want to be able to push it down fairly easily over it. It wants to be not super tight, but you don't want it loose either. Some Elmer's down the one edge. Okay, that's my bucket. It's pretty warm down here tonight. Right, my spolet is matched and everything. Now I just drop the bucket over the top here. And now this is the reason that I don't bring any of the nose matching down to the bottom of the spolet. I leave this area here clear. Once I've got it down on the bottom there, just getting ahead of myself here, I put a fillet of glue around on the spolet here. Now push the bucket down, flush with the top of the shell here. Now I take some tarred twine again. Clove hitch. And I tie it off about 1/8 of an inch above the bottom here. And this will pull the glued section nice and tight up on the bucket. Just enough to tie it off. And then tie it off again. With this tarred twine. Almost too good. Okay, and the second tie I put about 1/4 inch above there. This is going to be more or less in line with the bottom knot that's holding the uprights of black match onto there. Make sure it's well pushed in. Nice and tight. Now bring it around the back. And tie it off again twice. Okay. So we're now looking like that. The bucket's secured with 2 knots of tarred twine. Now I want a 5-inch gun just to see how much leader I want on there. Now if you tie it on properly, you should be able to pick it up by the bucket and pull it up and down. It shouldn't drop off. If it drops off, you've done something seriously wrong somewhere. I'll lower it into the tube. I've got a nice fit in there. I've got about 1/8 of an inch all around. It's not tight by any means. You can make shells a lot tighter than this. So if I drop it in there, I want a section about 2 foot long. I never cut quick match with scissors. I've seen a lot of people do it. I really don't think it's safe. I use angle cutters like this or slice through it with a cutter blade. Okay, now I've got my bucket on, bucket's tied on. I want to bear about 2 inches of the match here on my leader. And at this point, I drop in a couple of strands of nice thick black match into the bucket here. A bit too long. This just helps ensure that when the leader passes the fire into the bucket, there's a lot of fire in there. There's no way things are not going to get lit. And then I put the I push the leader right down, making sure it's almost on top of the spillet there, and then crimp this together at the top here. Another clove hitch. About a ½ inch down from the top there. Pull it nice and tight. But not so tight you're gonna choke the fire off. It shouldn't be a problem, but ooh, I've got a problem with this twine tonight. When I lower this shell into the gun, I'm not going to hold on to the leader here. I'm going to hold on to the bucket itself. And then one more. It might seem like a lot of time, but it's just cheap insurance to make sure that things don't get pulled out. This one I tie about a ¼ inch lower than the other one. And I take a little piece of gum tape. And just fold it over the end of the leader here to protect that from ignition. Okay, now everybody's probably wondering, he hasn't put the pacifier in there first. Well, I don't. And I know the way I've always seen it done. Let me just come a bit closer with this. The way I've always seen it done is people bring the pacifier up from the bottom here, and then they secure it round the spillet here at the bottom. Then they put the bucket over the top. Then they tie the bucket off, so the pacifier is going essentially underneath here. And I think it's not a good idea doing it like that. I've been doing it like this for a long time now, and I've never had any problems with it. If you put the pacifier underneath here, people say if you use proper pipe match like this and thick strands of black match, there's no way you can choke the fire off. And that may well be, but I've seen and I've heard of plenty of other people who have made shells and they've had hang fires. In other words, the fire has come down the leader into the bucket, the fuse is lit, but for some reason it hasn't reached the pacifier down to the lift charge. Maybe it's just smouldering at the point where the string is tied around there. Maybe it's been choked off completely. And I had one incident where I made a shell like this. I don't remember if it was a 3 or 4 break, but I put the pacifier from the lift at the side of the spillet, I tied it on. I didn't think it was too tight, but then I put my bucket over the top and I wanted to make the bucket secure. I don't want the bucket dropping off. So I tied the twine around the bucket, which of course has the pacifier for the lift underneath it. And when I lit the leader, there was a boop, and I knew that the fuse had been lit. and I just didn't know what was happening for a moment or two. It seemed like an eternity, but the shell didn't come out of the gun, and eventually it did. I guess there was about a second delay between the time fuse lighting and the lift charge igniting, but that 1 second on a multi-brake is quite a long time, and the result was I had 3 very low brakes and the bottom shock hit the ground. And after that happened, I vowed not to do it that way, and now I do it like this. It's dead simple, it's foolproof, and it just takes just a moment or two longer, that's all. I cut the leader off here, and then I split it. I give myself about an inch and a half of the match poking out here. And now I put a slit, not vertically, but sideways here, in the bucket. You might have to just cut a little kind of letterbox opening out to get it in. Like this. And now I put the black match up inside. I push it up. Into the bucket. You might want something to just open the gap up a little bit in there first.